hell was going on between you that these two young men show up here today?
Many things are not going well for Trina Braxton because it looks like her toxic relationship with her ex-husband Gabe Soys was much worse than anything we saw on TV. And now, Trina and her husband, Vaughn, have been having serious problems, and many people believe their marriage could be in trouble if she does not handle things the right way. Everything started when Vaughn opened up about how much it hurt him to see the way Trina mourned her ex-husband, Gabe. To him, there was no real difference between how she grieved for her late sister, Tracy, and how she reacted when she found out that Gabe had passed away. That feeling has been sitting with him ever since, and it has created a lot of tension between them. He cannot shake the thought that Trina might still have deep feelings for Gabe, and that has made him question a lot about their relationship. Vaughn has been struggling with these emotions, and it has started to affect the way they communicate. Trina, on the other hand, does not see it the same way. For her, grief is not about comparison, but about loss and the impact someone had on her life. However, Vaughn cannot ignore how strongly she reacted, and it has made him feel like he is living in the shadow of her past. Now, their marriage is at a crossroads, and unless they find a way to understand each other, things could fall apart sooner than anyone expected. Vaughn is really doing too much if he is more worried about how his wife is grieving instead of just being there for her. These men will leave you in the desert with no water and then ask if you are thirsty. He needs to relax. After Vaughn said how he felt, Trina went online, broke down, and explained why Gabe's passing hurt her so much. She wanted people to understand why it affected her the way it did. You know, V has 3 children from his ex-wife now. If God forbid anything happened to her, I don't believe him to be stoic. I think he would have some feeling towards it, even though he's no longer in love with her. He would be, in grief for his children. He'd be in grief for even himself, even from remembering those days, not because it's out of a passionate love, but because of a past love. Those two spent close to 20 years together and raised kids together, and Trina's sons are not biologically Gabe's, so he didn't have to step up. The drama between the two of them alone was an ongoing storyline in The Braxton. Their family reality show showed everything, and even after Trina and Gabe got divorced, the problems did not stop. Things were so bad between them that even now,
In this shape. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Because either you lying or you confused.
Trina's sons do not want children because of how their parents' messy relationship affected them when they were young. The pain from that time is still there today. The way Gabe treated Trina back then really hurt her, and her self-esteem has never been the same because of it. You think so? I know so. The Braxton sisters have a history of falling for toxic relationships and messy men from all backgrounds. And when it came to Trina, she never really. Trina did not have much hope that things would be different, but the people around her tried to warn her that she and Gabe were not a good match. Of course, she did not listen. Before they got married, Trina was the one with more money. She helped Gabe through school and supported him while he worked to build his life. But by the time they got married, he was the one who had more money. To be fair, Gabe did support Trina in everything she wanted to do. When she wanted to sing, he was there. And when she started her restaurant, Bar Chicks, he was still there. Gabe was the one bringing in the money to help get Trina's restaurant, Bar Chicks, up and running. She has always acknowledged how much he provided for their family, especially in the beginning. Even though her sons, Caleb and Eric, were not his biological children, Gabe stepped up in every way. He became the father figure they needed, and even though he wasn't their real father, they respected him as if he was. He was the only dad they had ever known, and they looked up to him like any child would look up to a father. However, things started to shift over time. As Trina got more comfortable depending on him for financial support, Gabe began to feel like this gave him a certain kind of power in the relationship. He started to believe that because he was the one bringing in the money, he had earned the right to do whatever he pleased, regardless of how it affected Trina or their family. This shift in dynamics changed the way Gabe behaved. Trina started to notice that every time he went out, things would spiral. He would act out, not thinking about the consequences. This behavior caused more tension between them, and it became clear that Gabe's attitude was becoming a serious problem. What Trina thought was a partnership turned into something entirely different as Gabe misbehaved more and more, testing the limits of their relationship. And it only got worse from there. Trina started feeling like something was not right in her relationship with Gabe. She could not shake the feeling that something was off, but at first, Gabe dismissed her concerns. He told her that it was all just in her head and that he was not doing anything wrong. He tried to convince her that there was no reason to worry. But Atlanta is not such a big place, and when you are in the public eye, people notice everything. It did not take long for Trina to start hearing rumors from others, confirming that Gabe might actually be out there messing around. Those rumors made Trina very upset, and she could not ignore what she was hearing. Then, things took a worse turn. Trina caught Gabe red-handed. She saw him behaving in a way that no partner should, with a woman he knew, on a social media site. It was clear as day for everyone to see. There was no way Gabe could deny what was happening because it was right there, online for the world to witness. Trina was heartbroken and furious, knowing that there was no excuse for what he had done. It was a painful moment for her, realizing that everything she had been feeling and hearing was true. Trina felt like everything they worked for had been broken, like they had gone backwards by 25 steps. That is why she stopped wearing her ring. She knew Gabe would ask her why she was not wearing it, but she did not care. She even said, "Take it, pawn it, I do not want it." The meaning behind that ring was gone. When it was first put on her finger, it meant something, but now that meaning no longer mattered, so she did not want it anymore.
I don't know if you know what you're talking about.
You have no idea how disconnected and enraged Caleb is. These two young men.
Trina would tell Gabe exactly how she felt about his actions, and even her son Caleb spoke up. He said how nothing his mom did was ever good enough for Gabe, and they were always yelling at each other. The constant arguing and feeling unappreciated took a toll on her, and it showed in how they treated each other. Things had been difficult between Trina and Gabe for a long time. They were always fighting, and there was so much tension between them. But everything really started to fall apart when Trina discovered that Gabe had allegedly been texting her 16-year-old niece, Trina Braxton. Trina became suspicious and went through Gabe's phone. That is when she found out that he had been texting several women at the same time. She was hurt and shocked, but things only got worse when Ashley confirmed everything. She told Trina that Gabe had sent her in.
The way you grieved for Tracy and Gabe, it looked the same to me. There was a little...
Trina was devastated by all of this, but even with everything that had happened, she tried to forgive Gabe. She loved him, and she hoped that they could fix things. Trina agreed to go to therapy with Gabe, hoping that with professional help, they could understand each other better and work through their issues. She knew that rebuilding their relationship was going to be a long and difficult journey, but she was willing to try, believing there was still a chance for them to move forward and heal from everything that had happened. Trina thought that once Gabe got caught, he would stop everything he had been doing. But sadly, once a man sees that you will stick by him no matter what, he may think he can keep getting away with anything. Gabe did not stop cheating. In fact, because Trina knew what he had been doing, he started to feel paranoid. He even went as far as putting a GPS tracker in her phone, convinced that she was also out there cheating on him. Gabe's trust issues took over, and he started to doubt her, even when there was no reason to. Creatures and guess what, the way you treat me is like you're my dad, and I'm sorry I don't screw my father. Trina eventually got some sense and filed for divorce from Gabe, but refused to go through with the divorce, and he said that there was so a lot of love between the two of them. And he wasn't going to give up on the marriage without a fight. He was putting in the work to go to all those therapy sessions and constantly apologizing to her, and Trina also wanted to work on their relationship and agreed. Trying to make their relationship work a second time felt like dealing with something that just never goes away. It was like a problem that keeps coming back, disappearing for a while and then resurfacing again. Even when it seemed like everything was fine, the issue was always there, just hiding beneath the surface. Gabe, realizing the importance of making things work, tried to do everything he could to behave better and put in effort to keep the relationship alive. But no matter how hard he tried, the truth remained. Their marriage had already broken into tiny pieces long ago, and nothing seemed strong enough to put it back together again. When Gabe started going out again, Trina admitted to herself that she had also made mistakes during their time together. She did things she was not proud of, but in her heart, she knew that their relationship had already reached its breaking point. The trust had been lost, and the bond they once shared had become fragile. Despite their efforts to fix things, deep down, they both knew that it was hard to go back to what they once had. Trina had checked out of the marriage, and she admitted to making her own mistakes. She had stepped out and even gotten involved with some random men. Trina made it clear that she was done with the relationship, and nothing could change her mind. When she filed for divorce again, Gabe did not take it well. He began to pull away from Trina and their sons, putting more space between them. Gabe said he would not accept anything less than half of everything they owned. The divorce became a messy process, full of arguments and complications. Honestly, Trina did not want to fight anymore, but Gabe seemed determined to drag things out. Gabe felt deeply hurt, believing that Trina had used him and discarded him when she no longer needed him. He was convinced that she had been hiding a lot of money that no one else knew about. In his mind, she had always been very careful with how she spent her money, and he thought she had been holding back more than she let on. Gabe felt like he had invested so much into their relationship, and now that it was falling apart, he was determined to get every single bit of that investment back. Gabe believed that when Trina agreed to give their relationship another try, it had nothing to do with love or care for him. He thought that Trina's reason for wanting to reconcile was not because of any real feelings for him, but because she wanted to create a storyline for the show. Gabe had become convinced that Trina's decisions were all about appearances and keeping the drama alive for her own benefit. Because of this, Gabe was resolute in making sure he got back everything he thought she owed him. He wanted to make sure that all the time, effort, and resources he had put into their relationship were paid back in full, no matter how messy things had become. By the time everything had happened, Trina was so hurt by everything that she did not realize just how much anger and pain she still had inside. It was only when she heard that Gabe was truly gone for good that she felt the weight of those emotions. This is something that Vav is struggling to understand. Now, Trina finds herself back in a situation that feels too much like what she went through with Gabe. The Braxtons certainly know how to choose their men, and people definitely have their opinions about it. Trina's story really touched me. Leaving someone you love, someone you thought you would spend the rest of your life with, is never easy. It is not simple to walk away from that kind of love, and for Trina, it has been a very tough journey to go through. Trina definitely deserves better than what she went through. The relationship she had with Gabe was so toxic, it is honestly hard to believe. It seems like the Braxton women struggle with picking the right man, and it makes you wonder what they are really looking for. Now, I am really curious to know your thoughts about the whole Trina situation. Do you think Gabe was as bad as Trina says, or do you feel like they were just not a good match for each other? Was it just a case of two people who should not have been together, or did Gabe truly treat her poorly? I really want to hear what you think, so be sure to leave a comment below and share your opinion. And do not forget to like and subscribe because there is so much more coming your way. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.
Men weren't raised. You chasing fame and you chasing ass.
I don't see a lot of difference between.
Now, I am really curious to know your thoughts about the whole Trina situation. Do you think Gabe was as bad as Trina says, or do you feel like they were just not a good match for each other? Was it just a case of two people who should not have been together, or did Gabe truly treat her poorly? I really want to hear what you think, so be sure to leave a comment below and share your opinion. And do not forget to like and subscribe because there is so much more coming your way. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye for now. It's definitely a tough situation when it comes to Trina and Gabe. From what we've seen, their relationship seemed to be filled with a lot of toxicity and dysfunction, which is heartbreaking, especially for someone like Trina who's so talented and deserving of someone who can bring positivity into her life. Gabe's actions, whether they were as bad as Trina said, show a lot of red flags, but relationships are complicated. Sometimes it's a combination of things. Two people just aren't a good fit, and other times one person's actions really do cross the line into mistreatment. From what Trina has shared, it sounds like Gabe treated her poorly at times, but it's also clear that their personalities and needs didn't match well. It's tough to say if Gabe was truly a bad person, but he certainly didn't seem like the right person for her. In the end, I think it's more of a case of two people who are just not right for each other. Trina deserves someone who respects her and brings the kind of stability and support that can help her thrive. What's your take on it? Do you think Gabe's behavior was truly damaging, or was it more of a matter of them just not being compatible?